Welcome to the Daily Review. This is Fed Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading. And today is September 7, 2023, and today is Thursday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, Apple and Nvidia sell off quite sharply. But before we get to that, no major economic events scheduled for today. And as we look at the various markets, starting out with the Forex symbols, the major pairs are sitting either on resistance or support, depending on the side of the US dollar. Now looking at the indices, the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ traded lower yesterday. When we look at commodities, gold continues to slide lower while oil pushes higher. Now when we looked at the stocks, generally speaking, they drifted lower almost across the board besides for Apple and Nvidia that sold off. And lastly, cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin remains unchanged. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we are starting out with the Euro USD, and you can see pretty clear it's sitting on support. I mean, right there. I mean, we can't believe we got there. And we did mention this earlier in this week, 107.22. And sure enough, that's where we got up to. So keep this in mind. This is a potential place for us to pick it up on the upside. And so continuously, this is happening across the board. Now, if we look at Japanese yen, also right there on resistance-ish level. If you look at the Canadian dollar, also right there on resistance-ish level. Where it is? There it is. Okay, I knew I was looking at the wrong graph because this is a daily, and I want to highlight this. I mean, almost everything is either on resistance, right? Because it's the USD Canadian dollar versus when it's the euro and the US dollar. So it's either sitting on support where that's the euro, or the Canadian dollar is sitting on resistance where that's versus the US dollar, right? But it's the flip because the euro comes first and then the US dollar, but here it's the US dollar and then Canadian dollar. So keep that in mind. And that's why you have that disparity of whether we're sitting on resistance or support, depending where the US dollar is located on that pair. So now, just to highlight this is happening almost across the board. If we look at GBP USD, also sitting on resistance, on support, and previous resistance, okay? The reason I got those confused is because I was looking at this, which is previous resistance, subsequent support. What's the point of this? The point of this is that we are really on a very major threshold. If this does cross over and sells off on the downside versus the GBP, that means the dollar can continue getting stronger almost across the board. So keep that in mind today. Now looking at gold trickling lower, what is interesting here, if we look at a daily chart, look at my three moving averages. Look what's happening here. They're all converging. They're coming into like almost a flat line. And that's just the reality that gold finds itself right now, is that it's flatlining mostly. Now if we look at oil though, check this out. We pushed out even higher. Now there is some news on the tape that Saudi Arabia or some of the OPEC community is going to lower the output of oil, thereby increasing the price of oil, and that is sure to affect the market. And sure enough, that is affecting the market together with what's going on in the hurricane. So this is pushing to $87. Remember, we have resistance at $92, so keep that in mind. Now looking at the US markets, the Dow Jones continued to slide lower. Right now we're trading at 34,400-ish level. This is a major retracement. If we look at the NASDAQ, also retracing. Now what is really key and uncharacteristic is Apple. Apple selling off from 188 to 182, $6 is a pretty decent retracement and sell-off. If you look at Nvidia, also did sell off quite aggressively yesterday from 485 down to 469-ish level, but then coming back a little bit. That's an aggressive sell-off, okay, even for a high flyer like that. Now, what is this conflicting here is that some of the stocks are on their highs. Let's take a look. Intel, right there on the top of the range. Okay, CISCO still up there as it's inching back into that area where it sold off from. So there's still some strength in the market. Okay, this is not just like, okay, this is going to be in this type of environment. Basically, I'm trying to say there's a mixed bag and there's no clear direction which way it'll go. One of the two sides will have to win in either case. Now lastly, looking at Bitcoin, really unchanged day to day, so nothing really doing here. It may trickle lower, and it does look like it, but it's Bitcoin, so take that with a grain of salt. So focus on the U.S. markets, some of the Forex symbols, because Bitcoin right now, unfortunately, is not trading that much. This is the Fed Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.